Chapter 1.4, The Columbian Exchange, Spanish Exploration and Conquest. This is one of the most important chapters in the entire course, so lock in. After 1492, two worlds that had been separate for 10,000 years slammed together, and the planet was never the same. Plants, animals, people, ideas, and deadly diseases crossed the Atlantic in both directions, and a handful of Spanish soldiers toppled two of the largest empires on Earth. Let's break it down. Here's the big idea. A single event, 1492, set off a global transformation that was both biological and human. We call it the Columbian Exchange, the movement of living things across the Atlantic in both directions. One side of it triggered the largest population collapse in human history. The other sparked a population boom that reshaped Europe, Asia, and Africa. For the exam, topic 1.4 wants both halves of the story, the causes of the exchange and its effects. Keep that word in mind all chapter, effects. Let's define it cleanly. The Columbian Exchange is the transfer of plants, animals, people, technology, and ideas between the hemispheres after 1492. The Old World means Europe, Africa, and Asia. The New World means the Americas. The crucial thing to remember is that it flowed both ways, and that it carried not just goods, but germs. It's named, of course, for Columbus, whose voyages opened the connection. Now let's see exactly what crossed in each direction. Here's the exchange at a glance. Heading west to the Americas, horses, cattle, pigs and sheep. Wheat, rice, sugarcane and coffee. Guns, steel tools, Christianity and the wheel. And, most fatefully, disease like smallpox, measles and the flu. Heading east to the Old World, maize or corn, potatoes and sweet potatoes, tomatoes, beans, squash and peppers, cacao, that's chocolate, and vanilla, plus tobacco and pineapple. Notice the pattern. The New World mostly sent crops, while the Old World sent animals, technology, and contagion. Now the darkest part of the story, and the single most important consequence, disease. Smallpox, measles, and influenza were brand new to the Americas, and native peoples had no built-up immunity to them. The result was catastrophic. In some regions, as much as 90% of the native population died. Entire societies collapsed, often before they ever laid eyes on a European, as epidemics raced ahead of the newcomers. Historians call this the Great Dying. Remember, it was germs, not guns, that killed the most. And that depopulation reshaped absolutely everything that came next. The exchange wasn't only deadly, it was transformative. New World crops, above all the potato and maize, were calorie-rich and easy to grow, and they fed a population boom across Europe, Asia, and Africa. More food meant more people. Going the other way, Old World animals reshaped the Americas. The horse, reintroduced by the Spanish, would eventually transform hunting, travel, and warfare for plains peoples. Cattle and pigs brought ranching and literally changed the landscape. So the same exchange that emptied the Americas of people helped fill the Old World. A brutal irony worth remembering. Now turn to the Conquest. The Conquistadors, Spanish for conquerors, were soldier adventurers chasing God, gold, and glory. They came armed with steel swords, guns, and horses, none of which the Americas had. And they set their sights on the two richest empires in the hemisphere, the Aztec and the Inca. Here's the puzzle that frames everything. How did a few hundred men defeat empires of millions? Hold that question. The answer, as we'll see, comes down to three things: steel, disease, and native allies. First, Mexico. In 1519, Hernán Cortés marched inland toward Tenochtitlan, the dazzling Aztec capital, ruled by Moctezuma. Cortés didn't do it alone. He allied with peoples like the Tlaxcalans, who bitterly resented Aztec domination, and he relied on an enslaved woman known as La Malinche to interpret and guide him. Then came the decisive blow. A smallpox epidemic tore through the city, killing defenders by the thousands. By 1521, the mighty Aztec Empire had fallen. Allies plus disease plus steel. That's how a few hundred men brought down millions. Next, Peru. Francisco Pizarro invaded the enormous Inca Empire high in the Andes. But again, disease arrived first. Smallpox had swept through years earlier, killing the Inca emperor and sparking a brutal civil war over who would succeed him. Pizarro walked into a weakened, divided empire. He captured the Inca ruler Atahualpa, and by 1533, the Inca Empire was his. Notice the pattern repeating. Disease and internal division did much of the work before the Spanish even struck. Same formula, Second Empire. Let's pull it together, because the exam loves this question. Why did so few Spaniards beat so many? 5 forces, steel and guns, weapons native armies had never faced. Horses, which gave speed, height, and shock on the battlefield. Disease, smallpox that shattered both populations and morale. Native allies, rival peoples who gladly joined the fight against their overlords. And division, empires already weakened by internal conflict. Boil it down to a formula you can write fast. Steel, disease, and allies equal conquest. Memorize those 3. With the empires toppled, Spain built a vast colonial empire across Mexico and Peru. To exploit it, the crown used the Encomienda system. Here's how it worked. A Spanish colonist was granted the right to demand labor and tribute from native people in a given area. And in exchange, he supposedly owed them protection and Christian instruction. In reality, the Encomienda was brutal, coerced, and often deadly labor. Meanwhile, staggering amounts of silver from mines like Potosí poured into Spain, funding its empire and reshaping the global economy. Lock in that definition. The Encomienda was a grant of people, not land. Not everyone accepted the cruelty. Bartolomé de las Casas, a Spanish friar who had once held an encomienda himself, was horrified by what he saw and became the era's loudest critic. He condemned the brutality of the system and argued forcefully that native peoples were rational human beings with rights and souls, a claim debated openly at Valladolid in Spain. It's an important and complicated legacy, though to spare native peoples, Las Casas at first urged bringing enslaved Africans instead, a position he came to deeply regret. Remember him as the voice of protest, flaws and all. So why does all of this matter? Out of contact and conquest came a new, connected and deeply unequal world. The Atlantic became a single global economy. But the catastrophic loss of native life created a desperate shortage of labor. And that shortage is exactly what fueled the rise of the transatlantic African slave trade, which is our next chapter. Profitable cash crops like sugar and tobacco drove brand new economies built on that forced labor. And Europeans, Native Americans, and Africans began blending into entirely new societies. The exchange didn't just move plants and animals, it remade humanity's map. Anchor it to the College Board. Key Concept 1.2. Contact among Europeans, Native Americans, and Africans produced the Columbian Exchange and major social, cultural, and political changes on both sides of the Atlantic. And your specific Topic 1.4 job is to explain the causes of the Columbian Exchange and its effects on both Europe and the Americas after 1492. So always study this chapter in 2 columns. Causes on one side, effects on the other. That structure is exactly how the questions are built. In theme terms, this chapter is led by geography and the environment, crops, animals, and disease, literally reshaping ecosystems and populations, and by work, exchange, and technology, as a global trade economy is born. You'll also see migration and settlement, America in the world as the hemispheres connect, and social structures in the Encomienda and the new colonial hierarchy. When you write, lead with geography and the environment, and with work, exchange, and technology. Q skills to drill. First, causation, and here you must handle both directions, the causes of the exchange and its effects, from the Great Dying to the population boom to conquest. Practice writing cause and effect chains. Second, continuity and change over time, or CCOT. 1492 is the classic turning point, so ask what changed dramatically afterward and what endured. Causation and continuity and change are your point winners in this chapter. Lock it in. Screenshot this slide. 1. New crops, old critters and contagion. The new world sent crops, the old world sent animals and disease. 2. The Great Dying. Disease killed up to 90% of native peoples, the deadliest part of the whole exchange. 3. Steel, disease, and allies equal conquest. That's why a few hundred Spaniards beat empires of millions. And 4. Encomienda equals forced labor, a grant of native people, not land. 4 hooks. And this huge chapter is under control. 60-second recap. 1. The Columbian exchange is the two-way transfer of plants, animals, people, and disease after 1492. 2. Disease caused the Great Dying. Up to 90% of some native populations perished. 3. New World crops, like potatoes and maize, sparked a population boom in the Old World, while horses would remake life on the plains. 4. Cortés toppled the Aztec in 1521 and Pizarro the Inca in 1533. Helped by steel, disease, and native allies. And 5. Spain ruled through the Encomienda, and the resulting labor crisis set the stage for African slavery. Lock it in. That's Chapter 1.4, a giant one. Well done. Next up, Chapter 1.5, Labor, Slavery and Caste in the Spanish Colonial System. How Spain organized work and built a rigid racial hierarchy in its empire, and how the African slave trade took hold. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and I'll see you in the next one on your way to a 5.